What up, everybody? BMF Season 3, Episode 4 is titled The Return of the Prodigal Son, and the description reads, Meech returns to Detroit upon Colombian Connect Loco's request to pick up weight for BMF, and the amount of weight is insurmountable for him to handle alone. Thus, he solicits help from Terry and the Detroit team. The Prodigal Son is an old biblical story of when a son asked his father for his inheritance as a young man, went out of town, wasted all his money, then returned home where he was embraced by his father. One key to keep in mind out of this story is the fact when the prodigal son returned home, his brother got jealous. And we already know T is somewhat jealous of Meech getting all the love in Detroit. And the trailer has even someone saying, the king is home. Then keep in mind Charles, Lucille, Nicole, and probably even LaWanda will all be happy to see Meech, stirring up Terry's jealousy all the more. But Meech really isn't home to visit family though. Meech is back in the D on business. And his enemies know this as well. The episode 4 trailer shows Henry talking to Detective Bryant and telling him Meech is home, when Bryant replies that it may be the perfect time to attack. And we already know the level of hate that Bryant has for Meech. But this is a problem for Henrietta because the fact that she stole a lot of T's clientele. And part of the reason they were able to do this is because the fact they were sick of taking orders from Meech's little brother. But with Meech back in town, he will most likely talk to the guys that left BMF to work with Henrietta and convince them to come back to work for BMF again. The trailer also shows a bunch of guys waiting on Meech at Terry's restaurant. Because the fact that Meech has a giant shipment coming in, what the synopsis reads as an insurmountable amount for him to handle on his own. Meech is about to feed the streets of Detroit and probably offering a price that Henrietta can't compete with. We also heard Henrietta in the trailer telling Bryant that Meech must be trying to expand outside of Michigan. One thing we already know that Henry and Bryant don't know is that Meech has already been expanded outside of Michigan. Keep in mind that in Season 2, Meech expanded to Cleveland, Ohio. So we could also potentially see Cleveland getting back into the mix this episode as well. Because Meech will need to be leaning on everyone to push the extra weight. Then also keep in mind that in Episode 3, Meech met a guy from St. Louis named Jay Pusher and his brother Carter that he spoke to about doing business. So Meech likely also has plans to connect with them while he's up north as well. But either though Meech has plans to expand outside of Michigan, we might not see him do it yet, at least in Episode 4, because there are no scenes from either Cleveland or St. Louis in the trailer. So most likely we'll see him making that move in Episode 5 before returning to Atlanta. But one big problem that Meech is going to have to worry about while back in the D is moving that work with Henry and Bryant on the attack. We see Meech at an airport runway, most likely getting his weight from off of a plane. But while he's doing this, we see Bryant in the distance with binoculars, keeping tabs on everything that Meech was doing. So then we see Meech making deliveries on the right side of a vehicle that he's in. Keep it in mind last episode that Bryant had the idea for Henrietta to pick up weight using an ambulance. So it looks like Meech and T are going to use a similar method, and it looks like Meech is driving some kind of postal vehicle. We also see in the trailer cops from Macomb County looking at somebody, most likely Meech, while he's driving that postal vehicle. Keep in mind that Henrietta is connected through her father Blaze to local cops, the city council, and a bunch of more stuff like that too. And we already saw in Episode 4, Henrietta sent the CPS after Terry. So it's obvious that Henrietta don't fight fair, but she uses crooked cops and government officials to do her dirt for her. So most likely we're going to see those Macomb cops harassing Meech and trying to stop him from making these deliveries in some type of way. So the big question is, how will Meech avoid them stopping him from doing what he needs to do? Then keep in mind that the trailer shows a black bag full of money after it shows the cops. Keep it in mind that these are dirty cops who work for Henrietta and her father. So there's a chance that Meech is going to pay those cops off with that bag full of money. At the same time, there's also a chance that Meech either sees Bryant or he might be suspicious that he might be being followed. And he could be driving the postal truck as a diversion as Terry makes the real deliveries. Keep it in mind that episode 2 was titled Magic Makers. And at the beginning of the episode, it had young Meech and Terry doing magic tricks for their family. And OG Meech, the narrator, said, "It's all just a bunch of smoke and mirrors. Everyone pulling small moves you ain't supposed to see." So there's a good chance that Meech and T will be a step ahead of Bryant and Henry, because it's no longer a secret that Bryant is working for Henry either, so they know they'll need to be on point. This could also be something that Meech and T try to use to their advantage in some type of way. Getting me to the scene of this trailer has me most intrigued, and that is Detective Jen and Anderson busting into someone's place. Keep in mind last episode Detective Jen was shot, and Bryant killed his driver, Henry's cousin, Quan, right in front of Jen. Then keep in mind that Henry's connected to the police force, so she sends one of her men to question Jen, and Jen tells them that the man shot Quan and drove off, not even telling them that it was Detective Bryant. They will still know what time it is, and this could cause problems between Bryant and Henry, either though we know for sure Bryant will survive to the end of this series. While all that was taking place, Detective Anderson was chasing down Sterling Black's top shooter from the PA's, Cuts, who they now have in custody, and who is also their lead suspect in the murder investigation of Saint. So there is a chance that Cuts will start snitching, and that's why they're doing this raid. But Sterling said Cuts wouldn't talk, so I'm going to take him at his word, because personally, I think that this might be B. Mickey who they're raiding. Look at how skinny the guy is who's getting knocked over. And also notice the NWA poster on the wall. Keep it in mind that B. Mickey had posters all over the walls in his basement. But at the same time, it doesn't look like B. Mickey's basement either. But because B. Mickey's mother died at the end of season 2, he might have had to move into another place, or that might be another door in that house other than the basement door. So there is a chance that we'll see B. Mickey one more time on the show as they show B. Mickey getting arrested. Because the real B. Mickey, D. Meek, said on his interview on Vlad TV that after him and Meech went their separate ways, he was arrested soon after and had to do a prison bid for a couple of years. But for the show purposes, this could also have something to do with the gun that Kevin was arrested with also. Because now that Bryant is working for Henry and Blaze, they might be able to pin everything on B. Mickey and get Kevin released on self-defense for the other body. And because the fact that Meech is back in town could be part of the reason why we see B. Mickey one last time also. Maybe they'll reconcile their relationship on the show before B. Mickey gets locked up, either though it didn't happen in real life. And another storyline that will likely be addressed this episode is Charles finding the check for $10,000 that Maurice wrote to Lucille for her bake sale. Keeping in mind that Charles knows exactly who Maurice is because he stole Lucille from Maurice first back in the day. And there you have it. Leave your thoughts, theories, and predictions in the comments.